Throughout the course of the series' history, many games have come and gone, each leaving a mark on the history of Monster Hunter, even if those marks may have been controversial or forgotten. Which brings me to perhaps the most fascinating specimen in the entire franchise, both in terms of what it does and the interesting outlook people have of it. Monster Hunter Frontier. If you haven't heard or even seen gameplay of this series of games, then I honestly don't blame you. Even by Monster standards, the game is not taught or known by many, and those who do speak of it are either too few or far between, or don't speak too highly of it. An MMORPG released on the PC and Xbox 360, Frontier brought a whole new definition of anime in Monster Hunter. With its flashy, over-the-top combat and moves, even by generation and double-cross standards, and crazily designed monsters with moves that are just insane to look at. I mean, look at this! That is ridiculous! Yet despite the fact that Frontiers existed for about 10 or more years, it isn't talked about a lot. Because of the territory limitation of just Japan, Korea, and China, very few people outside have gotten the chance to play it. And those who do see gameplay or snippets of it assume the worst, dismissing Frontier and everything it does as not Monster Hunter. But unlike others, I believe Frontier deserves to be talked about more, for what it does right, and in some cases, fantastically. And in today's case, we're going to be covering my 5 favorite monsters from Frontier, from an outsider's perspective. Despite not playing the games and not fully understanding what's going on at times, I still believe the monsters of these games are a definite highlight. So, instead of a normal format where I talk about my experience and fight with the monster and how it affects my opinion on it, I'm going to be focusing on the more artistic aspects of the monsters. Aspects such as its design, concept, execution, and even how its battle fits in with these aspects. However, I should note that Elder Dragons, Birth Species, Origin Species, Zeniths, or any monster that originally came from the main series but as a form in Frontier will not be considered for the list. So, despite being really cool, monsters like Daiorekatsu will not be counted for this list. And Elder Dragons? Well, if we did count them on here, they would just consist of all 5 entries. Seriously, that's how good these Elder Dragons are. So in order to have a level of balance to this list, and to give other monsters a chance, Elder Dragons from Frontier will not be included and will instead have their own list in the future. With all the formalities out of the way, let the hunt begin! I'll be honest, the flying or pseudo-wyvern category of monsters are the most overdone in the entire series. There are so many monsters in this category that almost every idea that can be done for it is already checked out. Fire-breathing wyverns? Check. Saber-toothed tigers? Check. Abominations that should never exist? Definitely. But leave it to Frontier to clear the way for an ingenious flying wyvern design. And all it took was a little sprinkling of Devil Joe seasoning. Man, talk about a breath of fresh air. An amphibian, pseudo-wyvern Tigrex hybrid with the diet and eating of a Devil Joe. Yep, sounds like Frontier specialty. All joking aside, Pariah is just a fun monster to look at. Its dopey expression, the orange and brown color scheme. Aww, it looks so adorable. Oh dear lord, what is that?! I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Just calm down. Breathe in. Breathe in. And out. Anyways, let's get to the actual mechanics of Pariah. As a Tigrex-like monster, many of the attacks Pariah has will be familiar to you, such as the boulder tossing, charging, and biting. But what makes Pariah unique is the spicing of Devil Joe thrown in there. For you see, Pariah is a glutton and will eat just about any kind of meat or object in front of it. During the battle, Pariah's drool will change color, forcing hunters to pay attention and lay down the correct meat for it to eat while charging. Feed it the correct meat, and it will start becoming full. Feed it the wrong meat, however, and you are in for a world of hurt, as Pariah will literally start throwing a temper tantrum. Jeez, it really is a picky eater. Once full, Pariah will, interestingly enough, ignore the hunters until the food digests, leaving the hunters plenty of time to lay a smackdown on it. During this phase of the battle, Pariah will actually start using its vomit as a weapon, so much so to the point where you can actually get parts and materials from whatever he throws up. Items that can even include Rajane materials. So either he killed a Rajane or he just ate the dead body of one. Either way, that is highly disturbing. Overall, what I love most about this monster and its battle is how simplistic it is. When you get down to it, it's not that complicated of a fight, leaving the door open to a unique and fun mini-game mechanic with the fight. Now that I'm thinking about it, Pariah is the hungry hippo's a monster. What an odd but endearing way to look at it. There's no way this thing could become nightmare fuel. Yeah, never mind! For a lot of people, one of the defining aspects of the Frontier series, and one of the aspects of it that just so happens to make it so ridiculed, is the flashy, over-the-top, fast-paced combat of Frontier. Hunters have insane mobility and range on all their weapons, and the monsters hit just as hard, if not even harder, flashier, and faster. Sure, it can be hard to keep up with, but fights such as Dishyus and Shatien's are a spectacle to watch just in terms of visual eye candy alone. And to me, no other monster besides the Elder Dragons represents this aspect of Frontier better than Zena Ziryu. First things first, let's talk about this thing's appearance, because I absolutely love this thing's design. The black scales with the blue webbing, with the red accents on the spikes and veins just make it a joy to look at. Plus the tendrils and the wings, while borrowing the skeleton from two other monsters, looks wicked with the color scheme. I also love this thing's use of water, being able to create water cyclones just by simply flying over a puddle of water, or literally creating slashes of water that shoot out from its tendrils. Yeah, no wonder this thing earns its nickname of the Water Cracking Wyvern. It may not have any complicated mechanics or minigames going for it like with Pariah, but not every monster needs one to be cool or fun. Honestly, this monster is just a joy to look at in terms of eye candy alone, and I love how ferocious and, well, cool it looks! It may be slow at first, but once it starts moving, it really gets moving, making circular ballerina spins of death with its tendrils, doing a backflip while shooting out a jet of water that eventually turns into a column of pressurized force, to even making rocks float, almost suspended by gravity in the air, and just chucking it aside as a projectile. Everything about this monster's design and how it attacks just yells awesome to me. Like, how awesome is it that this thing throws around its body parts like whips? How awesome is it that Zena basically uses its wings as a jump rope while leaping into the air? How awesome is it that Zena uses a stream of water from its mouth as a water jet? How awesome is it that it suspends rocks and hunters in the air inside a water vortex? Truly, the monster personification of the murder blenders, both in deadliness and in beauty. Oh, I'm in heaven right now. With how closely tied Monster Hunter is to Japan and its culture, it's no wonder that various monsters in the series are influenced by the mythology and world of Japanese culture. Many of his inspirations take the form of the creature's name, shape, and even abilities. Heck, some of these inspirations may not even be Japanese in nature, but rather ideas and mythology from another. And, as a massive mythology buff, I love it when games take these ideas and weld it into their own shapes. So, why am I bringing up this point in the first place? Well, simply put, the execution and ideas behind Miru are nothing short of amazing. Upon first glance, I thought of Miru as just another generic Tigrex/Narga family monster, which, to be honest, aside from Narga's side, I don't like all too much. However, upon further analysis and reading into Miru, I can safely say that he is much different than what I expected. Miru fights very similarly to a Narga and Tigrex hybrid, using its tail to slam down on hunters, charging full speed ahead, and stopping on the ground to create shockwaves. But Miru also has a few tricks of its own, such as the ability to shoot huge bursts of fire and cover hunters in the Frontier exclusive status, Crystallization, a status that will cover the hunter in stamina sapping crystals, forcing them to shake out of it before it explodes. However, the aspect that makes Miru stand out is a power we've never seen in Monster Hunter explored until now: shapeshifting. By contracting and expanding its muscles, Miru can change its body shape, size, and appearance to fit the situation at hand. These transformations are identified by certain colors that appear on its body, and each one allows Miru to access all new moves, such as Nargacuga's iconic Tail Slam. While the ability to shapeshift may seem weird, it fits in perfectly for what Miru is based off of. Miru is based on the idea of the Kitsune, Japanese fox spirits with the incredible ability to shape into any form they desire, even humans. Kitsunes in Japanese folklore show unnatural intelligence and cunning, being able to easily deceive humans and trick them. This fits perfectly into Miru, shapeshifting and changing his body to most likely intimidate or trick other monsters and hunters. It may not be seducing hunters, at least I hope not, but it still fits in nicely. And the way they do the transformations and shapeshifting, not only taking on the appearance somewhat with the monster it's basing itself off of, but also taking the various moves of that monster, is awesome. Overall, Miru is a definite highlight of Frontier just in terms of concept and its execution. The shapeshifting is a unique, never done mechanic that forces hunters to adapt to whatever form it takes, just as Miru adapts to the hunters. Plus, I just love the different take with the Tigrex design, going for a solid black and red, with white crystals surrounding the body, and the Oni mask just sells the design for me. There's no way they can make this guy any cooler, right? Well, screw me sideways. As I was writing the script, I knew instantly the top two monsters on here, ones that I have loved ever since I first saw them. The positions, however, for them kept changing, and eventually, as the other monsters were placed onto the list, I had to make a decision. And so, it is with great honor that I introduce the most terrifying monster in the entire series. Open wide, and say, for all the procedure will cost you is your blood! What do I even say about this? Well, in terms of design, it is absolutely horrifying! On a side note, screw lampreys! Right up there with spiders, lampreys are my absolute worst nightmare. I love the ocean, and find the mystery of what lies in the deepest crevices of our planet enticing, but also just a whole load of nope! So to have a personification of that fear, and of the unholy abominations that are lampreys, this leaves me feeling repulsed. That blubbery, smooth-looking hide, the red fins that adorns its back, that face, oh, and that tongue! What makes this monster such a highlight for me, aside from the appearance, is actually how the appearance and inspiration affects how it fights. As a Leviathan, Beru has the familiar body slams, whip-arounds, and Ignator beam, though sometimes with the addition of extra movement or shockwaves. But no, that's not what we're here to talk about. What we are here to talk about is its mechanic. You notice that tongue there? That long, flexible, nightmarish tongue with teeth that it can throw around like a whip and lacerate monsters and you with? Well, like any good lamprey-based monster, it can suck up the blood and even statuses of other monsters, allowing Beru to use whatever status it has absorbed onto its attacks. Even the hunters, can get drained of their blood and have it be used against them. You are getting shot at and snapped at by your own blood. Wow, talk about a whole new meaning for hitting yourself. With so many statuses such as paralysis, poison, and blood to use, Beru is versatile and flexible in keeping the hunters on their toes at all times, and serves a grim reminder of how disturbing and disgusting creatures in both our world and in others can be. Oh yeah, and need I mention that if you do get hit by a blood-based attack, that your screen actually becomes obscured by it? Beru is unlike any other monster in the franchise, and is one I could truly call horror material. Take notes, Kezu! As I've discussed throughout this video, the designs and concepts laid out in Frontier are outstanding. When the developers put their minds to the task at hand, they end up creating some of the coolest, most intimidating, and original designs in the entire franchise. But this whole talk of me praising these past 4 monsters all started out with one monster in particular. Or should I say, 2 monsters. Now, obviously, this seems contradictory for a list of 5 monsters to have a pair of monsters take the top spot, but I have my reasoning for doing this. For starters, the attack patterns, movements, and strategy behind the 2 are consistent across the board. Aside from a few differences, the 2 are basically the same. Second, how they work. We've seen throughout the franchise monster partnerships, such as that of Rathalos and Rathian, and Teostra and Lunastra. But this partnership is exclusive only in lore. If all of these monsters are truly partners, then shouldn't they cooperate in battle? And no, I don't mean just simply appearing in the same area as the other. I mean actually working together or performing some function with the other. They aren't a part of each other's battle, in other words. So, hey, post-Monarch here. I'm making a little bit of editor's note because I just noticed something while editing the video. For those of you who don't know, the script for this video was made before Lunastra was ever dropped into World. And, well, by the time I was editing it, it was even before it came out, but it wasn't until now during editing where I remembered that Luna and Teo have a special interaction in World. And I want to bring this up real quickly because I know somebody in the comments is going to ask me, but what about the Luna and Teo bond attack in World? I want to clarify my thoughts and reasoning behind Nono and Kamu. The thing is that while yes, this is an instance of the 2 working together in a partnership, in a relationship so to speak, this is only one instance. Any other time when the 2 are in the same area, they don't do anything else together. They just kind of attack. That's it. There's literally no other technique, nothing else besides this one secret little bond attack. And don't get me wrong, it's cool. I mean, I'm thankful that they do this in the first place. But the whole point of Kamu and Nono and why they're special for me is that it isn't just one attack. It isn't just a special little thing that happens once and that's that. No, the relationship is occurred not just through one attack, but through multiple interactions through the battle, even after it's all said and done, and more importantly, through the battle itself. Whereas with Luna and Teo, it's just with one attack. So yeah, little editor's note here. So despite the Luna update, I still find Kamu and Nono better in that regard. I just thought I'd bring it up because I know someone is eventually going to bring it up if I don't, so yeah. Alright, Future Monarch out, back to your regular scheduled video. But Kamu and Nono break this mold into a million pieces by having the first ever team-up battle in the whole franchise. They work together in battle! The 2 share a wide variety of moves, from 180-degree bites, wind blasts, a double scratch attack, and even howls that hurt the hunter, though there are differences, such as Kamu's roar having longer range. And all of these attacks can be done simultaneously by the two. But they aren't just stuck in performing the same attack the other one does. No sirree. They can both do their own attacks at the same time, potentially confusing and even cutting the hunter off. They also have other unique traits as a double battle, such as the ability to encase their legs in body and ice in a G-rank quest, intentionally avoiding pitfall traps, and even one of them guarding the other if it is weak or asleep. But besides the battle itself, there is one factor that sets these two apart from any other monster in the franchise. If you kill one of them, and the other is there, well, this happens. I'll be honest, this broke my heart when I first watched it, and even now, I still feel like crap for it. These two monsters were the first time in my entire history of playing games that made me feel sorry for killing the enemy. By that point, I had been so used to pummeling mobs of enemies and bosses into submission, and never bothered to think about what they feel. I mean, they were the enemy, were they not? But Monster Hunter, these two specifically, were the first to ever make me feel remorse for what is happening. They may not be real, but they feel real. That howl, that cry of despair at losing its partner, the lashing out in anger, and the eventual retreat, felt real. All done without a single bit of text, all without the game or characters telling you outright that you should feel bad. All of it done through the relationship displayed between the two, and that one howl, that one cry of sadness. And that is the reason why Kamu and Nono Orugaran are my favorite monsters in all of Frontier, and one of my favorite monsters in the whole franchise. The dichotomy and partnership between the two is unlike anything else in the franchise, and the battle used the relationship they have to enhance the battle. To exclude one of them out of the list would be like taking away a part of yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. It is this battle that makes you realize you aren't fighting mindless monsters or demons wanting to destroy the world. You are fighting the world's equivalent of animals. They are an unforgettable experience, and easily my favorite monsters in all of Frontier. I am the Monarch of Dragons, and I need to go get some tissue paper. Excuse me. Hey guys, Monarch of Dragons here, and thanks for coming by and watching the video. This is a video that has been in the works for quite a while now. I honestly feel bad that I didn't get it out anytime sooner. Freaking procrastination is a person's greatest weakness. But, it's now here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. In case you didn't tell already, I'm going to be making more videos about Frontier in the future. Currently right now, I have the ideas for favorite Elder Dragons, and maybe a top 10 of my favorite bits of music from Frontier. I don't know if I want to do a fourth video, and if I did, I don't know what topic, but maybe you guys could suggest something for me in terms of Frontier. It doesn't have to be a countdown, it could just be maybe a discussion video, I don't know. But I feel like having 4 videos on Frontier would be good enough and would be a good quantity. So anyway, I'm going to be leaving a link down to every video and channel I have used in this video in the description below, as if it wasn't for these magnificent people and their videos, I would have been never able to make this. So please go on ahead and go down in the description below and click on the links to all these people's channels and videos, and check them out, honestly. I can't thank them enough. And I cannot thank you enough for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed this. It was interesting getting around to more countdown-like video, after my first one being 5 DLC monsters, and I hope to do more in the future. With all that said, I have been the Monarch of Dragons, and I hope you all have a fantastic day / night, wherever you live. Peace.